Hi people, Moino Raven back here again as always, and as usual. Yeah, in this video I'm briefly going to discuss how to go about classical or traditional grimoire magic. Now, most people that are watching this already are familiar with classical magical workbooks and or grimoires, either from Renaissance times or before then, where you're supposed to have a bunch of implements, etc., like the Goetia from the Lesser Key of Solomon, you name it. And there are a bunch of extravagant things you need to do that, especially by today's standards, are metaphorically impossible or highly improbable to attain or to execute. Now, people generally speaking have been wondering that, even if you try to undertake the operation, which I also have, I've tried to undertake at least one operation of a classical nature back in the days when I was a beginner, specifically the Ars Paulina. Again, you can find anything interesting I'm talking about in this video, any references, you can find it linked in the description of this video. Now, and then for both me as well as people that practice, just by default, if you just go off the instructions that are mentioned in these classical grimoires, then you'll find yourself more often than not failing, metaphorically speaking failing, as in you carry out the operation to summon a spirit, just like the magical workbook says, but nothing happens. The spirit doesn't appear, etc., etc., etc. And there is a metaphorically speaking missing ingredient. This is something that I've already told people back in the day, but I'm going to elaborate on it because I have never directly elaborated on this, because this applies to all. This applies to all, at the very least most, but generally speaking, all classical magical operations. All the grimoires you can find that date from, like, for example, the year 1000 or similar, or BCE, classical antiquarial times, just an example, or medieval times. Now, just carrying out the instructions, as you might already have been aware of, is not enough. You can do it. You can, for example, buy all the items or attain all of them in the Goetia, and you can get what you're seeing in front of you, the magical circle, everything, and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Now, generally speaking, what needs to be done, and this is something that, I don't know, to veterans or people that have delved deep enough or dove in deep enough, have already maybe heard, albeit up to a minor extent. Now, the so-called secret to successfully carrying out these operations is something that isn't mentioned in these grimoires, and that is that you need to abstain from sin. So you need to fast, you need to abstain from any basic thing that constitutes sin, which is pretty much everything in quote-unquote modern society, so by present-day standards. So bluntly put, as a person, no sex, eating literally as little as possible. I'm talking about 1 to 2 dry loaves of bread every day. Literally eating as little as possible. Drinking only tap water, and even then as little as possible. Praying as much as you can, like, for example, 10 times a day. Wearing clean clothes, etc. Not walking around with any dirty clothes. Taking a shower every day and putting on new clothes. Putting on clothes that are, generally speaking, completely white and made of linen, for example. You name it, anything you can think of, not even thinking about anything sinful. So no smoking, no drinking, literally nothing. You need to essentially go full monk mode. That is the secret to these operations. Once you perform all of these operations fully, so let's just say that you wanted to work with the Goetia, you need to do all the aforementioned. You need to go full monk mode in like a year approximately, half a year up to a year. The whole point of you doing is that you're cleansing yourself from sin and any negativities, okay? And that includes the negativities that the material world, metaphorically speaking, throws at you pretty much from all sides. I'm saying by today's standards, but of course, this is a timeless concept, to put it that way, because sin was always present, metaphorically, since the dawn of mankind. So all the basic elements that we know as sin, such as lust, greed, envy, all of those things were already present. They were always present, so it's no different today. So you need to literally remove yourself from all of these sins You're not even supposed to think about something that can be seen or can constitute that constitutes as such as a sin. And once you've done that, the whole point of doing so is, like I said, you cleanse yourself spiritually. And once you're clean enough and you've elevated yourself spiritually to the point where you're worthy of the spirits that you're trying to summon in these operations. And generally speaking, your intuition will tell you when you're ready, as in, okay, you're ready now, we're clean enough, we can do the operation. And worst case scenario, you don't succeed, you simply rinse and repeat. You keep going until you succeed. But that's generally speaking it. And when you're clean like that, to put it that way, then these spirits will appear to you. They'll appear to you because in their eyes, you've deemed yourself worthy. By cleansing yourself, you're clean enough to the point where they can interact with you. Okay, you're accessible, to put it that way, within the context and confines of what you are trying to accomplish and the system that you're trying to work with. The reason it was never mentioned in these magical workbooks is that the reason it was never mentioned is because it was part of the course. It was so commonplace that it was metaphorically laughable if you were to bring this up. It's literally an example that I can give is you entering a house or a building and then not opening a door. You're literally trying to get into your own house, as in you're standing in front of your door, but you're not opening the door. Like common sense, even an animal would tell you that you need to open the door to enter, like the entryway, what you humans call the entryway. So for magicians back in the day, it was so common that you needed to do stuff like this. So just treating these grimoires in a cookbook fashion, which I tried in the past, is it's not something that you're supposed to do. Okay, I simply said to myself back in the day, I'm simply gonna try it. Who knows? It might work. Worst case scenario is it doesn't work. As always, it was worth the effort, the trouble, you name it. So yeah. That is the so-called missing link. Not that there is any missing link, okay? By today's standards, obviously, people that don't know better don't know. And even seasoned veterans in general, they don't know. They don't know any of this, okay? Like, a couple of people know, but not a lot of people know this. But yeah, this was commonplace, and that's why it was never mentioned. That's why every grimoire you'll find out there that is free to download, including on my website, obviously, in the archive section. You name it, everything, all of the lesser key of Solomon, the greater key of Solomon, all of their subsections, everything. This is the default stuff you need to do, where you see that you need to make a magic circle, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yes, all of these things are things you need to do by default if you want to practice it literally the OG style, old school manner, the way that the guys that originally the guys that originally made it up or compiled it or whatever, the guys that originally simply either wrote it and or practiced it back in those times, all the way until before technology became what it is today. Like that, and information was easily available, and automation made it so that you didn't have to do this and this and that anymore, and the whole concept of modern magic where you need to train your astral senses and all of that came into play, because back in the day obviously they didn't have any of that, so this is the best they could do. Now in case you want to practice this, but I'm going to close off by saying that I still heavily do not recommend this. I mean, you're welcome to do so, but I don't recommend it, point one, because of its impracticality. Like I've already said in a grimoire, in an article of mine in the past called Why Traditional Grimoire Magic is Overrated. Plain and simply, keyword is that whether it's by today's standards or not, but yeah, more the former than the latter. Generally speaking, based on the fact that we're in the 21st century, it is impractical. Other than everything I've said up to this point, it's impractical also because, just think about it, you're going to go through all that trouble, and then after a year you can finally summon a spirit, and then, okay, you summoned your spirits, etc., etc., and then you only do it once. And then the second you literally do one sinful thing, you immediately start to regress. And then if you want to carry out an operation again, so essentially you have to go through all that trouble just to summon a spirit one time, or to summon spirits once, like literally once, as in Okay, I summoned like 10, 20 spirits. Those are all the ones I needed. Yay, good. I saw results. Excellent. Until next time. In 5 years, you're going to try to do it again, and you need to go through all that trouble again. It is impractical, plain and simple. It's impractical. I mean, to go through all that trouble, not to mention the fact that, sin is everywhere. So you literally need to abstain from pretty much society, or at least 99% of society. You need to literally just, oh boy, you need to go full monk mode. You're not supposed to like live in a hermit or go hide in a cave somewhere, but the amounts of effort you have to put into it, you literally have to like shield your face, yourself, your entire being from society and be like, nope, 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 no sin, no sin. Okay, I'm just going to the store, just going to pick up some dry bread and water. No sin, nothing. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear cursing, no swearing, no nothing. Pretty much like that, more or less. So yeah, it's impractical, honestly. It's impractical. That's why I heavily recommend simply, quote unquote, simply modern magic. Okay, the whole principle of this is it's impractical. And this obviously is an outdated method. A great method, nevertheless, from a neutral perspective in terms of admiring it and whatnot. But it's an outdated and impractical method, to say the least, The amount of time it takes to carry out a ritual, an operation, all of that stuff. Okay, whereas with modern thingies, with modern magic, you can go about everything, okay? Literally go about everything. So see you guys until next time.